Can you tell me what's your idea of school? When somebody says school, what does that mean to you?
Stress.
Stress. Wow, why?
Because you just, I don't know, you just feel as if you need to be.
Well, you're not happy at school?
No, you feel as if you need to be somebody else at school to fit in with everybody.
And what, the teachers, how were they to you?
Made me feel stupid.
So you left school feeling stupid? And you've come to the hub here, the learning hub.
Aye.
How's that been in comparison to school?
Better, because you listen to what the teachers do. But you see your point of view more than a teacher would.
And do you think you've learnt something here? You know how you do things like, well, you can tell me, SVQs and computers and going and do photo media. Do you think there's more opportunities for you?
Aye.
What about moving on from here? Do you think they help you with that? Application forms for jobs, colleges, do you think you're more ready? Or do you think you will be more ready than when you've left school?
You need help?
That's it now. Hiya.
Hiya.
Hiya. I was wondering if I could ask you a couple of your views on a couple of things. When I say to you school, what does that make you feel? What's your memories of school?
Well, school, it's you're told where to be, when to be there, and well, you're given work to do. But it's different where I am now because I'm given different opportunities and it's more tailored to what I want to do now.
So you feel you're learning more here than you did at school?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You had said you moved about in school, different schools. Did you feel that held you back in your learning because of what the decisions the teachers made for you?
Yeah. I've moved over from Northern Ireland, and the school did kind of judged me on a way of where I'm supposed to be, rather than looking at my records. And I was put in higher class.
And
I wasn't comfortable in that class.
And did that make you struggle in that class?
Yeah.
And held you back?
Yeah.
Whereas the hub, you came and they sat and had a conversation with you, and do you feel they listened to you on what you wanted and where you wanted to be?
Yeah, I've got more opportunity here at the hub.
And what else do you feel the difference between school and the hub in the way they treat you?
I'm treated like an adult, an equal.
With an opinion?
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's see if it starts. Right. Hiya.
Hello.
Hello. I'm actually inviting people here today to talk about their views, personal views on school and the difference between the school and the hub. So when I say to you school, what memories does that bring up to you?
Well, when I think of school, I think of my friend Josh, because in all my years of school, I didn't really have a lot of friends. I was always the guy that everybody used to pick on a lot because I was weak, and me and Josh, we would just sit in a stairwell, sit and talk. Every single day we would eat brownies, chocolate milk and stuff. But I did enjoy school, but it wasn't like the teachers or anything that let it down. It was the people in it that ruined my school years for me.
Was it? So did you come away having learned in school, qualifications wise? Did you feel as if that was tailored to you as an individual, or take into consideration the way you were feeling?
Well, the only really good decent qualifications I got, I reckon, were from music. I did do a bit of Nat 3 math, but I don't know if I passed or not. So I'm going to be honest, I can't actually read my certificate that says all my qualifications. I don't understand how to read through it. But I reckon I've only got 2 or 3 decent qualifications.
And do you feel the school, you actually came away from school feeling you've learnt something and your school years were worth your time spent there? Or do you feel as if you could have learnt more?
Well, I did learn a lot of life lessons through school, about people, about life, just everyday things. But one thing I did learn was people change, and it's difficult to come to terms with, but that's one of the most vibrant lessons I've probably learned.
Right, now it's from school. What's the difference between school and the hub then? Why did you come to the hub?
Well, I started to come to the hub because I didn't have much else I could do. A lot of people were telling me to do different things, like go sign on, go in the sick, go to the brew. I don't want that for myself. I want to actually go out and get a job, and I want to try and go somewhere, and I believe that this could be the first step of many to achieving my goals in life.
What's the difference between hub and school that you feel that's going to do it? That what you're saying, you came away from school
Well,
feeling...
there's a lot more freedom and a lot less discipline, because in school you couldn't eat, you couldn't even have chewing gum in class or anything like that. But here, the only main rule really, no energy drinks. You just gotta pay attention and just get your work done and keep your head down. And
do you feel the atmosphere is different here than school, that you can relax and learn?
Definitely, it's more comfortable because in uniforms and stuff. For school, you'd have to go out and every single day have your uniform and all that stuff ready, but instead you could just get up, wearing any everyday clothes and just go, instead of that hassle. But as well, I reckon the difference is the way the staff treat you, because the staff in a school, they treat you just like pupils, whereas the staff here, it's more personal.
Right.
Definitely more personal.
That sounds brilliant, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Sally.
What age were you when you found out you were dyslexic?
Probably about 50.
So obviously at school you didn't get any help with your dyslexia?
No, I only found out when there was a lady who came to do the test and do the eye test, and there were 3 people in the class, and I was the last one doing the test, and she told me to read this piece of paper, which I could not read it, and she go, okay, right, and then she says to my tutor, she goes, I think Sally's has got dyslexia. So she gave me 3 CD-ROM, and I tried it at home, find it very interesting to practice on them.
So have you had the most help since you came to Flourish House? Other than Flourish House, have you had any other help?
No. Flourish had helped me a wee bit because the different people is teaching me. Now, I think at the beginning I'm quite embarrassed to ask people for help, because I feel really ashamed, because people might think if I ask them, they might not want to repeat. People might say, oh, I'm not going to show you again, because I'm very kind of ashamed to ask people to do it slowly, step by step.
Do you think this also maybe had an effect on your mental health as well?
Yes, I have, because it takes me a long time to understand it, and I'm trying so hard.
Okay, thanks. Hi Sally.
Hi.
Do you feel your dyslexia has effect on your mental health?
Yes, it has, because I find it quite difficult to cope. And day to day, it's quite hard trying to remember what I was supposed to do.
And what about forums and things, you know, when
Forum?
you have...
It's quite difficult. It's when I read form, it's like blank. It's everything like a shut down. I just kind of panic and go, oh, I can only fill so many bits at the beginning of the bit, but the next bit will go, oh, I don't know how to fill, I don't know how to spell it.
Okay, and if you need help with forums, who helps you? Is it Flourish House or...?
Well, I know sometimes if my son's there, or if my son's doing it, I bring it into one of the staff, my support worker will help me to fill it in.
Okay, thanks Sally, thank you.
Their reading book, according to a learner, was Anne and Paul, and that was spelt phonetically. So it was Anne was A-N, and was A-N-D, and Paul was P-O-L. And so in P4, I realised after 4 years of this that this was, frankly, a crazy method. And they had to then spend the next 3 years in primary school trying to undo everything they taught these young folk. The high schools, when they received their cohort of learners that had been participating in this pilot, immediately put all of that class into remedial classes. And at that time, it was back in the kind of 80s, at that time, if you were in a remedial class in secondary school, you were automatically not allowed to sit any qualifications. So you had this whole group of young people who had, through no choice of their own, become participants in this pilot, this ITA, for 4 years, 3 years trying to undo it, and then throughout their secondary education, labelled almost because they were forced to take part in remedial classes, and that in itself meant that they weren't allowed to sit what was at that time O grades. So that group of people then went through their late teens, early 20s with no qualifications and all the disadvantage that then led. I had met a learner who attended an adult literacy class who had told me this story, who believed that she was, not as good a member of society as someone who had all these pieces of paper saying how good they were. And cut a long story short, that learner started off by doing Access 3 qualifications in literacies, communications, numeracy and IT, then did her Intermediate 1, now known as Level 4, which is confusing in itself, and then went on and did a Level 2 in care, went on and did an HNC in social care, and is now got a second class degree in nursing and is working as a nurse. And that is a person that, had she not attended a literacies class in her 20s, would not have known the potential that she actually had. She was labelled from school, and I think that's very frustrating and all too common a situation.
So why did that make you fearful supporting her through an award that you felt she deserved?
I had nominated this person to receive an award because of the speed at which she undertook her literacies journey, and the how much effort she put into her own personal education through her own choice. I nominated this learner for a Literacies Learner of the Year award, and I'm pleased to say she won the award and was delighted, because not only did she now have all these pieces of paper which society told her makes her a valid member of society and more employable, she then had actually won an award for the first time in her life. Unfortunately, my employer requested a meeting with me when they told me that she'd won the award, and requested a meeting with me to ask me to change the wording in the nomination paperwork, because I had referred to the learner as a victim of her school pilot in P1 and P4, and it was suggested to me that I should not be slagging off a school that was part of the local authority that was actually paying my wages. It made me realise that you definitely cross a double-edged sword in trying to support the needs of learners, but also I have to be very mindful, if I'm being active in any way, that I don't cause any difficulties with my own professionalism and my own employer. And I was quite shocked to be told to change the wording on the form, which of course I dutifully did because I'm conformist.
And how has that changed your activism currently? and being creative about it, shall we say, in
Yeah.
other ways.
Yeah, certainly if I'm working with a learner and they have cause to perhaps have a complaint about the large local authority in which I work with, I have to kind of be a bit of a stealth activist, and I have to embroil that learner into making sure that they know I can give them all the support they need, but they perhaps wouldn't be able to admit outside of here that they'd received that that support from a local authority employee in case that got me into trouble by my employers. It's made me very aware that whilst on paper I'm there to support the express needs under the social practice model of that learner, I have to do so by being mindful of the employer that pays my wages as well, and it means you have to kind of do it by stealth at times, but also you have to let that learner know that you're doing it by stealth, which surprises them at times, but I've never had occasion to doubt that they would land me in it, if you like. And I've supported a number of learners in writing primarily complaint letters about the services they receive from the local authority in which they live.
And can I ask you finally just one question? It's really about, I mean, you're saying local authority, policy, funding.
Yeah.
Can you maybe relate that to the job and what you're doing, the effects that's had, the effects that's actually had on the type of service you wish to provide, but which you have been asked to provide?
Absolutely. There's been a real shift recently, I would say in the last 5 years especially, between less emphasis being put on the social practice model of adult literacies learner. There's nobody really spearheading it in this local authority. In fact, there's nobody really spearheading it in local government, if I'm honest. There is no longer Learning Connections that was the development engine for pushing forward adult literacy policy. The funding for that has come to an end. We're no longer a discrete adult literacies team. We have been merged into a wider lifelong learning and community learning and development team, which is fine in itself, but what that means is the aims of the local authority are to provide measurable, quantifiable outcomes, and the best way they can do that is through certification and qualification, and so there is a huge push in any literacies learning that takes place for embedded certification to be within that. So whereas social practice model is about you would come to me to perhaps say, I want to be able to read my child a bedtime story. Great, we can provide that service. You're a young mom, you're maybe 18, 19, 20, your reading's not great, you're not confident to read out. We can provide you some support to do that. But on the other hand, my employer is telling me we need quantifiable, measurable outcomes. So when you're teaching that person, when you're supporting that person to be able to read to their child, embed a core skill reading certified qualification into that, and we can then report back on that and get funding for that. If you are wanting to, in your workplace, you have to be able to calculate quickly in your head, if you're in a whiskey factory, to be able to work out how many bottles of whiskey go in the box, how many boxes can we fit on the pallet. So you need to be really good at your times tables. Come along to an adult literacy and numeracy class and we can support you to be able to do that. Great, but this little voice in my head in the corner is saying, Mary, you need to cut that out.
Yep, Tanya.
Tanya, you need to be able to evidence qualifications. So although you're teaching them times tables, can you embed a little 20-hour calculations qualification into that while you're doing it? Whether the learner wants that qualification or not, we're being encouraged more and more and more to make the evidence requirements for Scottish Qualifications Authority available, so that learner, when they're doing their work, is also getting that qualification there. There's almost a subliminal move away from the social practice model to more of a functional literacies model. It's all about employment, it's all about workplace, it's all about being a consumer in society. It's all about, what can you give back to society? And if you've got all these pieces of paper saying that you're good at something, somehow that makes you a more valuable or a more valid member of society. It's no longer about learning things for the sake of learning them. It's about learning them for impacting on workplace literacies more and more and more. And workplace literacies tends to lead itself back into this functional model of literacies learning, or the deficit model of literacies learning.
Thank you for your time today. That's been really informative. Thank you,
Sorry, that's
Tanya.
a bit all over the place.